afternoon, my name is Peyton, and today I will be doing my clarinet tutorial video. Today we're going to be talking about two main things specifically. We're going to talk about assembly, and then we're going to talk about playing C and into our lower range on the clarinet, from C down to G. I hope you enjoy. All right, next we're going to go ahead and move to assembly of our clarinet. After opening our case, we can go ahead and see that we have multiple parts inside. We have our reed, the barrel, this is the upper joint, the lower joint, our mouthpiece, and our barrel. To begin, we're going to go ahead and start by taking out our reed. What we need to think about whenever we pull out our reed is not to lose this plastic piece. This plastic piece is going to act as a guard whenever we're not using our reed to keep it safe and keep it away from any germs. We're going to go ahead and put that back inside there and not let it run away from us. Now, when we're looking at the reed and we're handling the reed, we need to understand that it is extremely, extremely thin on one end, which makes it very, very brittle. But it's important for us whenever we play the clarinet because having it so thin is what makes it vibrate back and forth whenever we play air on the mouthpiece. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to gently take our clarinet's reed and take it slowly and insert it with the butt end, the thicker end, into our mouth so that we can begin to wet the reed while we work on the rest of our clarinet. Now, starting at the very bottom and working up, we're going to start with the bell in our left hand, and we're going to go ahead and grab the lower joint, which is this longer stem here, with the 4 keys facing directly up. Now, whenever we grab our parts of our clarinet, specifically for our upper and lower joint, we want to be sure not to place any pressure onto any of our keys or our rods, because we don't want to break them. They're very gentle. Now, in a slight twisting motion, we're going to connect the 2 pieces together nice and firm. To line up, we want to go ahead and take our logo and line it up straight across this lining up rod that goes straight into our keys up ahead. Just a quick reed check. We're going to go ahead and take our reed and we're going to flip it, put it back into our mouth, and enjoy the rest of the tutorial. Next, we're going to take it in our left hand. I like to hold somewhere between the seal of the bell and our lower joint. And in our right hand, we're going to go ahead and grab the upper joint, focusing on the same idea of not putting any pressure on the keys, rather beneath them, and not putting any pressure on our rods either. Now, for this one specifically, we see that whenever we were about to put these together, that there's a lot of pieces that might run into each other. And so we want to be very, very careful with our expensive clarinets. So we can see, to make things a little bit easier, when we hold it like this specifically, with our palms resting on the flat side, we can take our thumb and press down on this middle key here. And when that happens, we can see that there's a little rod that moves up and down. What we want to do is line up that rod with the space right here. You can see there's a cork on either side, and I like to try to match those corks up perfectly together. What we're going to do is we're going to press down on this to open it up, connect the 2 pieces together, twist lightly, and voila. These 2 pieces right here line up perfectly together, which is important for whenever we press keys down here, that they connect together. So when we press this key down here, it also pushes down these keys up top. Now, from here, we're going to go ahead and add our next part. What I like to do for holding for our third phase is taking my hand and putting it up against the thumb rest for our right hand, but with our left hand for right now. And we're going to just go ahead and hold it right here so that we're not putting any pressure. And we're going to go ahead and grab our barrel. Now, with the fatter side, we're going to connect it onto our clarinet. The same idea, just a light twisting motion. Now, some clarinets have a logo that will be on the barrel as well. This one does not. If so, we just want the barrel to line up, and we want the logo on the barrel to line up with this line that goes all the way across our clarinet. Now finally, we're going to go ahead and add our mouthpiece. I'm going to start with taking these two pieces apart. This is going to be our cover for our mouthpiece. This is the ligature, and this is our physical mouthpiece. Now, what I like to do is rest the base of the clarinet against my stomach, and with my left hand, I'm going to hold onto the barrel, and with my right hand, I'm going to lightly, in the same idea, twist and pull this into place. Now, I'm not pulling it into my stomach and I'm not jamming them together. I'm being very gentle and light, but I'm making sure that there's firm contact on the clarinet so I don't drop it. Now from here, it looks like we have almost a full clarinet. Now that we've successfully created our clarinet, we need to add our final two parts, those being our reed and our ligature. At this point, your reed should be completely soaked and ready to add onto the mouthpiece. Now, grabbing our clarinet, we want to place our reed onto the mouthpiece and line it up with the flat side so that we have the edge of our reed lining up just below the top of this mouthpiece here. Just like so. Now, we're going to go ahead and grab that in place so that it doesn't jump around on us while we grab our ligature and we slide it on, the screws facing towards us on the right side, all the way into place. Now, our reed might move a little bit here, so we might have to jimmy it just a little bit to get it right back in place. But then, starting with the bottom screw, we're going to tighten that into place before moving to our top screw. And just like that, we have a full assembled clarinet. All right, now that we have successfully attached our reed to our clarinet and assembled our clarinet, we're going to focus on playing a C and then lower. Now, with our finger positions in our left hand, we're going to take our first finger and put it onto this hole right here. What I like to think is we have almost like an arrow pointing down directly where we want our first finger to go. And then from here, we just want to cover up all the holes to seal them. So 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now on the back side, we can think the same thing as the front, where we take our thumb and we got this big old arrow pointing directly where we want to place our thumb. So we're going to place our thumb there to seal. 1, 2, and 3. And congratulations, we have already learned our first note, which is a C. Now, before we learn anything lower than our C, which is 1, 2, 3, and thumb, we need to discuss how we're going to play our lower notes. Now, as woodwind players, there are two things specifically that we can most commonly do to change if we're playing a high note or a lower note, and that's going to be our airspeed and air temperature. Now, whenever we're focusing on airspeed for lower notes, we want to think slower, warmer air. An idea of blowing our air forward to fog a mirror instead of blowing out candles. The idea of versus. You can practice this by placing your hand directly in front of you and blowing onto your hand to feel the temperature and the speed of which your air is glowing. Our goal is to go for slow, warm air. Let's keep that in mind whenever we play our lower notes. All right, it sounds pretty good. Now, another thing that we can do is focus on what we're doing with our mouth. What I like to do is lightly press up against my teeth with my lower right thumb to anchor the mouthpiece in place. But whenever I make my seal, I'm trying to keep it as loose and open as possible, pulling my tongue back and keeping it nice and open whenever I seal. All right. we're almost there. Now, the final thing that we want to focus about whenever we're playing in our lower range is support. Not from up here, not from inside here, but all the way down in our lower diaphragm. That's where we're going to get all of our support for our lower ideas. So we need to make sure that we're sitting nice and tall whenever we play, and we're getting our air to circulate all the way in, down to the diaphragm, back up, and then out into our beautiful clarinet to give it a good amount of support. From here, we're going to go ahead and figure out where our right hand is going to go whenever we're holding our clarinet. Now, if we look at the back of our clarinet, we see that we have this nice little guard here where we're going to go ahead and take the flat part of our thumb and place right there. And it's just going to hold it in place for us so that we have a little bit of leverage on our clarinet. Now, with the same idea in mind as our top three fingers, we want to just seal all the holes. It's nice and easy this way. 1, 2, and 3. So up top we had 1, 2, 3 with the thumb covered. Now on the bottom we're just going to seal the holes again. 1, 2, and 3. And that right there is our second note that we're going to learn, which is a G, which is much lower. So, quick review. We have 1, 2, 3, and thumb, which is C, and then 1, 2, 3. This is going to be G, C, and G. Now from here, we're going to take a step up from G. And all we're going to do to take a step up is remove that finger. Remove our third finger. So now all we have is 1, 2, 3 thumb, and 1, 2. We're going to keep this open. So now we're going from G to A. Now that we have mastered playing our C, G, and A, it's time to move on to our final piece to connect C to G. And that's going to be B. Now, to play a B, it's a little bit more tricky than what we originally were expecting because we went from 1, 2, 3 and thumb to 1, 2, 3 and then picking this one up to go up. But to play our next note in our scale, we're going to take a step up by removing our first finger. So now we've only got our middle finger down, and this is going to be a B. Now's a good time to take a quick break and do a couple repetitions of our fingerings for C, G, A, and B, just to make sure that you have it under your fingers and you're very, very solid on those 4 notes. Guys so much for joining me for this tutorial today for our clarinet. I hope you learned a lot of important things that you can take back to the practice room so that you can continue to learn the clarinet. Thank you. Have a good day.